Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm really excited because not only am I trying a new eyeshadow palette but a new brand. So this is the Druid palette from Fantasy Cosmetica, which is a brand new brand, and this is their first palette. So they're actually a local brand. I'm in Seattle and they're in Redmond, which is right across the lake from Seattle. So I didn't even notice that until I ordered it, and then it was here like 2 days later. But I am very excited to try this out. It looks beautiful. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a soft spot for indie makeup and colorful makeup, and I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. So this is the Druid palette. It retails, it's very reflective, retails for $38.99, I believe, and then after taxes and shipping, it was like $45, $46. Seattle taxes are pretty high though, so it might be less where you are, because we have to pay the state tax and the city tax. It's a 9-pan palette. It is made in China and then, distributed from Redmond, Washington. It has a 24-month shelf life. I don't know if it's vegan, but it does say not tested on animals. It doesn't have the cruelty-free thing, like the little cruelty-free logo, but I believe that's an actual certification you have to pay for. So as a new brand, they might not have just paid for that yet. Kind of like grocery stores, like you'll see certified organic or certified this, like things might be organic, but they just haven't paid to have the expensive certification done, so they can't say certified. This is the outer packaging. It's very pretty. It's got this like forest scene with a figure and a bear. The whole theme of the brand is like fantasy role-playing games, which is very fitting for Seattle and the surrounding area. The only complaint I can say so far is that it's really hard to see. Like, it's basically a black, dark green font over a green base. So same with the back. It's hard to read. I think there should be more contrast, but that's just a design thing that can easily be updated later on. It does have all the ingredients on the back and their website, and then the actual palette looks identical and has the same stuff on the back. So the sleeve will probably get recycled. So this is the palette. It's got a nice big mirror, which looks like pretty good quality. And then here is the color story. So it has 4 mattes, 2 duochromes, 2 trichromes, I think is what they call them. So it's 2 multichromes and then a regular shimmer. I think this is the regular shimmer. These 2 look like the multichromes, and then these 2 look like the duochromes. I haven't touched this at all. I'm really excited. It looks like the perfect kind of earthy, grungy story that I love. So I'm gonna swatch this on my arm and then do an eye look and see what I think about them. So this is gonna be a very true first impression for both the palette and the brand. I'm gonna take my watch off. Okay, I have nothing on my arm, by the way, and I do have a medium olive undertone. I'm medium and I have an olive undertone. So some of these, like these shades, might look a little different on me than say on someone who's not olive, because I have yellow and green in my skin. So greens and yellows can look a little different. But let's see. So the first shade is Root, and it is very soft. Feels very nice. It's a nice dark brown. The next shade is Balance, which is very shifty. Like I can clearly see like a purple and green. Even on camera, I can see that. That feels very nice. And that is very shiny and reflective. So I definitely see purple, green, maybe a little bit of teal. It's really pretty. And then this is the shade Forest, which is a nice dark green. I'm really excited for the shimmers. I saw this, they posted it on Instagram and someone else shared it, and I was like, that's beautiful, I need to buy it. And I think I bought it the next day. It came this weekend. I just was too busy to film and not feeling great myself. So it's the dark brown. It's very pigmented, very soft. Oh, that's beautiful. So it's looking very green and teal there, but I'm seeing like pink and purple. And then we've got the dark green. That did not swatch as nicely as the brown, but that's not surprising for this type of shade. Also, it doesn't mean that it won't perform well. Swatches and performance are not the same thing. Okay, second row is Bare Form. Serenity, and Sage. So bare form is just like a nice copper. Not as, it does feel a little different than Balance, a little harder pressed. Serenity, again, is a little softer, more like the first shade. That's really beautiful. That might be one of the duochromes, although it's kind of, it's like green to lime green. It's not like a super strong shift, but it's still beautiful. It's one of my favorite kind of shades. And then Sage is this really pretty kind of mustardy shade. That's really pretty, very emollient feeling. And that green, yeah, it's like a darker green with a brighter green shift, or a yellow. And then that is the green matte. That's beautiful. My favorite kind of green. That's my favorite kind of green. And then let's see, this is Transformation, Regrowth, and Old Growth. So Transformation is super shifty. So again, it's kind of it's got like a red base, and then that you can kind of see there, and then it shifts very teal. This one's a little less thick. This feels a little thinner. That one's like, oh, that's beautiful. Kind of like a red base with a gold shift. And then the last matte is this kind of like reddy brown. Okay, so that is beautiful. That is a very strong green shift, and you can see it's definitely different than the one up here. This one's a little thinner, more toppery-like. This one has more of a base color to it. This one is definitely thinner, but is really pretty and has, yeah, it's like a pinky shade with gold sparkle in it. And then the last matte is that dark red brown. So the lightest shade is definitely this one. I will probably start with the green, and we'll see what I do. So I'm excited. I want to use as many of these as possible. So I'm gonna go wash off my arm and be right back to try these out. Okay, so I think I want to do at least one look, maybe two. I'm gonna do one eye, and we'll see if I want to do a second one, because I want to try all the shades. So I'm gonna start with the shade Sage because it's just calling to me. It's also the lightest shade, and I want to see how it works. So I'm just grabbing it on this fluffy rougher brush. Picks up very nicely, that like yellow green. Also, the rest of my makeup will be in the description box like always. So I already primed with my Urban Decay primer, and let's just see how this works as a transition shade. Because I feel like you could start with this shade, go green, go brown, go red brown. You could probably start with the brown and blend it out, but I feel like this is what most people are gonna start with because it's the obvious light shade. So that went on very nicely. And it does pull a little more green on my eye than it looked here. It looks a little more yellow in the pan than it looks like on my skin. But again, olive is gonna adjust that. And there's that blended out really nicely. Also, there's a little bit of kick up in the pan, but not too much. So I think I'm gonna stick with the more green tones on this eye and the more neutral colors on this eye, just because I wanna try all four mattes. So I think I'm gonna do two looks. So I'm gonna pick up Forest, the dark green, on this little brush and tap off the excess. And I'm gonna place that on the outer part of my lid. That's really pigmented, really pretty. So I really wanna see how well these blend together since it's a new formula. The mattes definitely feel a little more drier than creamy, but not in like a bad way. Like dry doesn't equal bad. It just literally means it doesn't feel creamy. But there is definitely a little bit of kick up. And then I'm gonna go back in with Sage. Okay, so it looks really nice so far. It's got a nice gradient and the blend is really nice. The only place the blend isn't perfect is like right here, but most of that's gonna be covered with a shimmer anyway. But I do wanna make sure that the upper half looks nice, you know, the part that will be visible. So I'm just gonna keep blending a little bit with a little bit more of the Sage color. Okay, so I spent another 30 seconds to a minute blending and I think it looks great now. So definitely not hard, just takes a little effort and looks perfect. And that was only the inner part of my lid, so that could also just be my eyes because that's where I tend to have issues. So that looks really nice. I think I will take, I'm gonna take Root on my lower lash line and see how that looks. A little bit of a warm brown. I feel like I wish these two shades were a little, I feel like I wish these two shades were a little more different. This is like a nice earthy brown and this is like a reddish brown, but I wish like this was like a little darker and this was a little lighter or something just to make them a little more different, but like that's nitpicky. And then I'm gonna take just a tiny bit more of the forest shade and connect the two right here. Okay, so that looks very nice, very earthy, which is what I wanted. And then I'm gonna take some NYX glitter glue, put that all over my lid and a little bit on my inner corner. What I tend to do is put it on the lid and then what's left on the brush, I just kind of tap there. Okay, so the shades that are calling to me the most are this one and this one, the multi-chrome looking ones. So I'm gonna take this top shade, Balance. I'm gonna pick that up on this rougher brush and let's tap that on the lid and see how that looks. Oh, that's beautiful. That's so pretty. Very sparkly, so if you're into sparkly shifty shadows, this is definitely one of them. If they ever sell their shadows as singles, I would definitely recommend buying this one as a single. Since this is a more green eye, I think I'm gonna try the Serenity shade. I'm gonna put that on a pencil brush, this little tiny one, and I'm gonna put that under my eye right here. For a little pop. So that pulls very much lime and isn't a strong shift, but it's beautiful. And I just have the two kind of melted together in my inner corner. So I love that. I think this looks beautiful. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go straight into trying out some more shades on this eye and then I'll finish everything up at the end together. So I'm gonna go into Root. I've wiped off the brush. I'm gonna pick up some of that. And then just in case it does stay pretty dark, I'm gonna put it on the outer part of my eye, the outer V area, and then blend inward with most of the pigment out here. Pretty color. Yeah, it is. It's not as red or maroon kind of as the old growth shade, but they are, I think they are pretty similar. And then I'm just gonna blend that into the crease and we'll see how this works. And I don't know if you can see what I mean, but like see how there's like some skips where there's little lines. That is happening. It's not an uncommon thing. There's very few brands that I feel like don't do that until I pass through them. So like even like ColourPop does that, like, you know, a lot of brands do that. So I don't really hold it against them unless it doesn't go away. A little bit of blending makes it fade pretty well. So it doesn't take a lot of effort. It's when it takes a lot of effort that I get annoyed. And I feel like you could blend sage and this together really well. Since I use sage over here, I wanted to see what this looked like without it. Okay, so I think that's blended out pretty well so far. I really like the color. This would be a nice put all over the lid color. And then I'm gonna take Old Growth, which is the slightly more red toned brown. And I'm going to put that on my lower lash line and up and kind of see how different they look and how they blend together. And then probably use this on the outer corner. Immediately I can see there is a difference. This is definitely more maroon, but it's like maroon brown and this is like warm brown, so yeah. I think I would just make the shade a tad lighter and then there'd be a little more difference. And then I'm gonna pick up some more of Old Growth on this little fluffy brush. And I'm gonna put that on the outer part of my lid and blend everything together. And then going back in with the first brush and a little bit more of Root just to blend together. And I would say if you're lighter than me, like if you're a light medium to a pale, I would probably use a setting powder or something to make sure that these weren't too dark on your skin tone. And then I think on the set, I'm gonna use these two shades. So taking a little bit more glitter glue, putting it all over, and then picking up, I think I'm gonna do Transformation all over the lid because it's shifty and I wanna see what it looks like over a white space, and then Regrowth underneath. So the only shade I won't really use is the Copper. Oh, that's so pretty. And then taking a small pencil brush again, I'm gonna take Regrowth. Yeah, it's hard to see the names because they're such a dark color on a dark background. So I would have done like, I don't know, a cream color or something like to make them really pop. But this is a really pretty shade, so I can't wait to see what it looks like. Okay. It blends into Old Growth really well. But it's not the most sparkly shade and not the brightest, which is why I put it down here. It had some sparkle, but not a ton. And then while we're at it, I'm gonna use the last shade. I'm gonna try Bare Form. Same little brush, and I'm gonna put that on the inner corner. Picked up too much and made a mess. Let me blend that out a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go fix the edge right here just because it blended out a little bit more than I wanted, put mascara and stuff on, and be right back. Okay, so I'm back and these are the finished looks. I went ahead and just put my Haus Labs mascara on, Haus Labs liner, not mascara, and then mascara, and took my concealer brush to kind of clean up the edges a little bit and kind of help it wing up, which is what I normally do. So I've used all 9 shades now and I really like this. I think this is a really great first palette for the brand. I love this green look the most, I think, but this like plummy base with a green shift is really beautiful. The Old Growth matte shade is really beautiful. And the Serenity, like kind of limey, shifty shade, really beautiful. But I think Balance, the one up here that I have on this lid, is my favorite. It's the one that drew me in when I saw the palette as well. It's so beautiful. I can see myself using just like that all over the lid with mascara and maybe a matte, like the matte yellow or the brown or something. I think all of the shades performed really well. There's not really a true inner corner shade, but that's not a big deal. I could easily pull in a highlighter, I just didn't. I would say the formats are all really pigmented, work really well. I do stand by what I said earlier. I wish there's a little more difference. Like, I think Root should be just a tad bit lighter so that there's more difference between these two other than just undertone. The two greens worked really beautifully. And then the shimmers, so these two are the most shifty and the same kind of texture. They're like, they're not smushy or anything, but they're soft, they're really beautiful. I would say Serenity in the middle is the same kind of soft, really shiny formula. And then these two are a little firmer and like a little harder pressed. I think Bare Form is pretty shiny and really pretty. And then Regrowth is really beautiful, but it's not the shiniest. It's a very subtle sparkle over the base. So I think it's a really interesting mix of textures and colors, and I think it's a really great, I think it's totally worth the $38. And I'm really excited to see a new brand, especially a local brand, and see what they come out with next, because the theming's really interesting, and like, they can only go up from here in my opinion, and this is already really great. So I'm excited to see what this brand does. I also like that they included a little card saying that they don't have a way of leaving reviews on their website, but here's an email so you can give feedback, stuff like that. I think that's a really great thing for a new brand to do. So I don't know if they'll see this video, but if they do, I think you did a great job. And my only feedback would be make this shade a little bit lighter so there's a little more difference. And you know, the artwork's kind of dark and hard to read, but like, that's not a really big deal. It's still beautiful. So I'm really happy I grabbed this, and I can't wait to see what they do next. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the two looks, what you think of the palette, if you're thinking about picking it up. I am really happy I grabbed this. I can't wait to keep playing with it. I think in the fall especially I'm gonna want to play with it, because these are the like earthy fall tones that I just love that time of year. But I'll wear these any time of the year. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video.